What if America could bring back booming factories, cut its debt, lower energy bills, and still avoid inflation? Trump's bold tariff plan, paired with cheap oil and gas, promises just that: a revival of U.S. industry, self-reliance, and economic strength without the usual pain. Here's how it could work. Let's start with the basics. Tariffs are taxes that a country places on goods coming in from other countries. If the US buys TVs from China and Trump puts a 10% tariff on them, that means importers have to pay extra. Trump has suggested a universal 10% tariff on all imported goods, and possibly even higher tariffs on China or other countries he believes don't trade fairly with the US. Usually, economists say tariffs make things more expensive for consumers. For example, if it costs more to bring in a car or a phone from another country, companies may pass that cost on to you. This can lead to inflation, the rising cost of everyday goods. But Trump and his team say this time it would be different. And here's why. Trump promises to boost oil and gas production in the US again, like he did during his first term. If energy is cheaper, it helps in many ways. Cheaper fuel means transportation and shipping costs go down. Factories can run more cheaply if gas and electricity are affordable. Everyday items like food and clothing don't rise in price as much if energy costs are low. So even if some goods become more expensive due to tariffs, lower energy costs can help cancel that out, or even bring prices down overall. Think of it like this. If you spend more at the store because of tariffs, but your gas bill and electric bill plus the energy costs for all goods around the world go down, your overall cost of living might not go up. Another point Trump makes is this: foreign countries and companies will pay the tariffs, not American consumers. How? By lowering their prices to keep selling in the US, losing market share to American-made products if they don't. In his first term, there was some evidence that Chinese exporters were absorbing part of the cost, so they didn't lose customers in the US. And with global competition, many foreign companies might do the same. So instead of causing inflation, tariffs might push foreign countries to lower prices, while giving American businesses a better chance to compete. One of Trump's biggest promises is to bring back American manufacturing. He says the US should make its own goods: cars, steel, semiconductors, tools, electronics, instead of depending on China or Mexico. How do tariffs help with that? They make imported goods more expensive, so US companies don't have to compete with unfairly cheap products from other countries. They level the playing field for American workers and factories. They give companies a reason to build factories in the US, which means more jobs and stronger communities. So instead of outsourcing jobs to China, companies might bring production back home or never leave in the first place. The budget deficit is the gap between what the US government spends and what it earns. Right now, the government is spending way more than it collects in taxes. In fiscal year 2024, the US federal government collected approximately $4.9 trillion in revenue and spent about $6.75 trillion, resulting in a deficit of $1.8 trillion. Tariffs can help here too. If the US taxes every imported item, the government collects billions of dollars in revenue without raising taxes on Americans. Trump's team has said a 10% tariff on all imports could bring in hundreds of billions of dollars over time. That money could be used to pay down the deficit, fund infrastructure or defense, lower other taxes. Unlike raising income taxes, which hurts families and businesses, tariffs target foreign goods. So the pain is, in theory, felt overseas, not at home. Trump argues that America is too dependent on China for everything from medicine to electronics. That's a security risk and an economic risk, as we saw during COVID when supply chains broke down. Tariffs combined with other policies can help move critical manufacturing back to the US or to friendly countries. This can create jobs, shorten supply chains, make America stronger and safer. Critics argue that tariffs often are just hidden taxes. They say if imported goods cost more, stores will raise prices, and regular Americans will pay the difference. But not this time. With energy prices dropping due to American oil and gas production, overall costs can still fall. Plus, many foreign companies will cut their prices to stay competitive, especially countries like China. Also, if more goods are made in the US, supply increases, which helps control prices. Critics say other countries will strike back with their own tariffs on US exports. That didn't stop Trump the first time, and the US economy kept growing. Trump believes other countries depend on the US market more than we depend on them. In a trade war, America has the upper hand, and countries that want access to US consumers will eventually negotiate better deals, cut down prices, or will be outcompeted. Critics argue that tariffs interfere with natural competition, saying industries should rise or fall based on their own strength, not government help. But this assumes we had fair markets to begin with. The market hasn't been fair for decades. Countries like China use subsidies, cheap labor, and manipulation to beat US companies. Tariffs don't pick winners, they stop cheaters from winning by unfair means. They give US businesses a fair shot, which is what the free market should be. Some experts claim that even with tariffs, the money raised is too small to fix America's huge budget deficit. Every dollar counts, and a 10% universal tariff on imports could raise hundreds of billions over time. Let's break down the numbers. With 15% tariffs across all imports, the US could raise about $570 billion in revenue. A $500 billion shift to domestic production would generate an extra $87 billion in taxes. With oil prices projected at $50 per barrel by 2026, we'd save $54.75 billion on imports. Lower energy costs would save the government $23.3 billion on procurement. Together, that's $735 billion, covering 41% of the $1.8 trillion federal deficit. Critics point out that while Trump's first term saw some job growth, many factories still closed or moved abroad. This was partly due to resistance from Congress, courts, and global shocks like COVID. A second term would come with stronger planning, more experience, and a full energy revival. With a clear mandate and bolder action, this time the industrial comeback would stick, not stall. In short, while critics see tariffs as risky, they can be a smart weapon. Used carefully, they can protect American jobs, cut the deficit, and build a more independent, inflation-proof economy, all while putting America first.